So on Wednesday night, it's another sold-out away trip, this time to Coventry. Let's say hello to Mark, who's joining us from the All Things Sky Blue podcast to help us preview that game. Hi, Mark. How you doing? You right?
Yeah, hi, Martin. Hi, gents. Hope you're all well.
Yeah, really good. I mean, you must be absolutely buzzing after that win at the weekend. Enjoyable game?
Yes, I went to the game on Friday night, and yeah, it's not nice. Always nice to beat the Blues. Obviously, a local derby, although kind of I'll say in inverted commas a friendly local derby, obviously because of the fact that we played at St Andrews and they helped us out in our hour of need. So I can't be too harsh on the Blues, but nonetheless, it's an important 3 points that gets us up to 14th in the league. So a needed win after slightly disappointing result against Ipswich the week before that. So yeah, I think at least we're going to this game with a little bit of confidence now ahead of the Southampton match.
I mean, everybody seems to be beating Birmingham at the moment or getting a result against them. But how well did they play? Were you impressed with the way they played?
Birmingham, I thought they were pretty poor side, to be honest. I think they're a team that got on the way down for me under Wayne Rooney. So for me as a Coventry fan, it was a great time to play them. So I was delighted he's still the manager there, and delighted that we got the 3 points, obviously.
You got a big week as well, haven't you? Because it's Southampton and then Leeds, I think. So you got the chance to do us a favour on Saturday potentially. But you say you're going into these games with a bit of form and perhaps your tail up and maybe a little bit more confidence than you would have had.
Yeah, I believe so. I think the thing with Mark Robins is I think at the start of the season we played a similar formation that got us where we were in the playoff final, where we played sort of a 3-4-1-2 formation or sometimes a 3-5-2 formation. And it didn't really work, in all honesty. It was kind of square pegs, round holes scenario. So he changed the shape a bit. So we're kind of playing 4-3-3/4-5-1. So you kind of got the two strikers like Sakamoto and Haji Wright, who you could argue could play as a second or third striker, but also will track back and double up. So that's kind of been paying dividends at the moment, because with the exception of the Ipswich game, we haven't conceded a goal, and we've had about 2 or 3 wins and a draw. So it's certainly yielded some points. Before that, there was a lot of we were losing games to teams we shouldn't be losing to, so there's a lot of disappointment there. But yeah, I think at the moment we know that, be realistic, Southampton or top side, they should be where they are in the league. Top football team, got some international players. Che Adams obviously is a really good striker. Adam Armstrong, we obviously played at Coventry, sort of the start of his career, had a spell with us on loan from Newcastle. Is a top striker. So under no illusions, it's going to be a hard game. But as a fan, this is what the Championship's about. It's a tough division. There's a lot of good sides there, and hopefully we can get a result. But it won't be easy, of course.
Am I right in saying your top scorer missed the game at the weekend as well? Is he going to be back on Wednesday?
Matty Godden, yeah, he might be back. His wife gave birth to a baby boy, which is why he was missing the game on Friday night. So does he start or does he not start? It's an interesting one. I thought Ellis Sims, who obviously we signed from Everton in the summer, has only scored 2 goals but hasn't started as many games. So been an interesting decision which way Mark Robins goes for this one. I probably think he'll probably start with Ellis Sims and probably try and give him a run of games, because he's kind of been in and out of the team, and I think he just needs a run of games. So I think he'll probably stick the same 11 for this one.
You paid pretty big money for him as well, didn't you?
Well, our most expensive sign was Haji Wright. We paid around £7 million for him, and whilst he's done okay, I would say he hasn't exactly set the world alight. But the problem is we sold Victor Gyökeres, who was a fantastic striker for us, for £20 million to Sporting Lisbon. And it's always the challenge of who do you bring in. Haji Wright has, in my opinion, still got work to do. I think he's getting there, but he's slowly winning the fans over. But I think there's still work for him to do to really sort of cement his place in the side and get the fans on side as well. But the fans still chant his name and that. So, the fans are always fantastic. They get behind our players. So I can't knock the fans. But I still think he's got work to do. I think his finishing could be better. Sometimes he's a little bit slow. I mean, Ellis Sims, our other signing, I think some people say he's slow, but I don't necessarily think it's the fact that he's slow. I just think he doesn't necessarily read the game as well as he should do. He doesn't anticipate the play, make that movement. If you look at, dare I say, like Adam Armstrong, Che Adams, they've played at international level, or certainly in Che Adams' case, he's played for Scotland international level for a reason, and that's because they're just about one or two.
Because they ain't got anyone else.
Yeah, well, there is that as well. Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of Che Adams. I think wherever he's been, I mean, he was a good player at Blues as well. So he knows where the back of the net is, anyways, and as well as Armstrong. So so I know it's going to be a tough game against Southampton, but look, I think we do sometimes rise to the occasion against the better side. So I'm not going to be too despondent about this game.
Do you think there might be a few changes from Saints, Alfie? I know it's a strange one, isn't it? Because whenever Russell Martin spoke about it before, he didn't change the team. We thought he would. And then he was talking about changing. So we were like, well, that must be a double bluff. It's going to be the same team. And he pulled a couple of changes out. So, I mean, this week, do we think there might be some changes on Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's complete.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go on. No, go on. Yeah, sorry. It's complete guesswork, I think. But obviously Flynn will come back into the team. I'm pretty certain of that. And I imagine that Will Smallbone, if he's ready to start, will start as well. So it'll be Flynn and Will in the midfield with Stewie, I'd expect. And I'd probably bring maybe Ryan Fraser in as well for Alcaraz potentially. So maybe 2 or 3 changes. But I mean, everything else is pretty settled, isn't it? The back 4 isn't going to change. I was actually kind of surprised that he didn't bring Jack Stevens on in the last few minutes at Watford, to be fair, thinking about it, because he's just a bit of firefighting, and he did change to a sort of a 4-4-2. Could have easily slipped that one in there. But I think it'd be an interesting game, wouldn't it, Wednesday? I mean, Coventry didn't just scrape past them in the FA Cup like 2 years ago. I think just about got past them with Willie Caballero in goal or something like that.
Yeah, and the extra time win.
Was it? Yeah. I think Thierry Small's 45-minute cameo. I don't think he's ever played for the club again. Bless him. The other things I noticed that Callum O'Hare's got his first couple of goals of the season, Mark, in last week. And I'm surprised that they're his first couple of goals, because he's somebody who I thought last year was excellent. I don't know if you agree.
Oh, he's an excellent player. I think he's come back from a serious injury from last season. He had a knee ligament injury against Sheffield United on Boxing Day, so it's almost a year ago now. And he's probably that's his second 90 minutes of the season. He's come on. He's had a lot of cameo appearances as sub, which is kind of understandable. But yeah, the Callum O'Hare I saw on Friday night was certainly the Callum O'Hare we've kind of been accustomed to seeing as fans on, like certainly last season. He was by far his best game for the club, and he's looking good. His finishing's good. I mean, he doesn't score a lot of goals, in all honesty. He's only scored about 11 goals for the club, 11, 12 goals. So it's nice to see him get some goals. But I think we've missed him purely because he's that link between sort of our wingers and our strikers as well, kind of thing. So yeah, I think he'll having him on form is a definite tick in the box for us.
Do you think, Glenn, dropping those points at the weekend will mean that there isn't a room for any slip-ups this week now? So he's going to have to go kind of all out on Wednesday night, where he might have been tempted perhaps to rest 1 or 2. He's got to go for this and not think about the other game on Saturday.
We've had a similar sort of setup of games to this when we played Preston midweek, and he went full Carabao in that one, didn't he? Where it was 6 or 7 changes, and we were looking at the 11 names thinking who the hell's playing where. I can't see him doing that now, because I think things are a lot more settled. I agree with what Alfie said, basically. I think both Downs and Shea Charles will play in midfield. Other than that, I agree with what Alfie said. I can see Ryan Fraser come in, and he's got to do a lot better than he did the last time he started a game, because he was dreadful in that game. So if they start him on his sort of preferred left-hand side, because the game he started, he was on the right, then then hopefully that will make us a bit more fluid going forward, because that's where obviously we've been struggling in the main. Looking for Che Adams to go on one of his streaks, obviously, because he's always been that his entire Saints career. He's been the nothing in 20 games and then 6 in 6 sort of thing. So getting a goal at the weekend, hopefully he'll fire this weekend as well. Midweek as well. So looking forward to the game, and yeah, as we said earlier, we had a bit of a disappointment with conceding the late goal at Watford, and time to get it out of the system on Wednesday.
It's a good game at a good time, Steve, really, after the weekend, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would imagine the players will just be annoyed. Just the manner in which they will basically feel they've tossed away 2 points. So yeah, get straight back out on the pitch and kind of point to prove to an extent, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, look, it's not going to be easy. 2 away games back to back in the space of 5 days against sides whose form is improving. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. I mean, I think I've only seen 2 of Coventry's games earlier in the season. I saw the opening day game at Leicester, where, I mean, frankly, they should have been out of sight after about 65 minutes, and how they weren't 3 or 4 up, I'm not quite sure, but somehow contrived to lose that one. And I think there was possibly a Monday night game against West Brom where, again, they played some really nice stuff, but basically just couldn't finish their dinner. And this is kind of what we're seeing in the Championship, is that the strikers aren't of the same caliber. Whereas in the Premier League, every single chance you give away in half decent position ends up in the back of your net. No questions asked. It's just there. In this division, we saw with the Bristol City game the other week, 2 massive chances for their centre forward, and he's made a complete pig's ear of both of them. When, yeah, I mean, by any sort of token in the Premier League, we'd have been 2-0 down at half time, and everybody would have been pretty pissed off. But yeah, this one, I think, I mean, if we can just get our kind of fluidity back, we need to up the tempo a little, just a fraction. I'm not one of these who, like, I've heard a lot of people in the last week or so banging on saying, "Oh, I just don't find this style of football entertaining." I mean, we're winning games of football, lads. We're in a position where we haven't been winning games of football for years.
Yeah.
With fans in the ground, at least we were okay, sort of tolerable for periods during COVID, but yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, just enjoy it. Just enjoy the fact that we're winning games. And yes, it's not perfect. But I think certainly on Saturday in parts we slowed the game down too much. I'm not quite sure what we were doing with various bouts of cramp, whether they were legitimate or not. Certainly, the Watford fans I spoke to after the game felt that we were properly sort of phoning it in terms of the time wasting and stuff. Hence the 8 minutes added on, but kind of looked like reasonably legitimate to me. Ryan Fraser's one looked quite nasty. Looked like he could have sort of twisted his ankle or done something properly serious. So it was, yeah, that seemed a little bit strange. But I think in situations like that, I just think we've got to have our heads in the game a little bit more. Just be a little bit more kind of clinical. I mean, I say that we've, like, in front of goal, we've clearly not been as clinical as we should have been. Cardiff, we should have had 6 or 7 in that game. But this game is one where, I mean, Coventry will give you chances. Defensively, recently they've been fine, but for them, I mean, looking back at their fixture list, other than Ipswich, they've played a load of sort of mid-table to struggling sides. So you would expect a team like them to win those games, not concede too many, and be fairly solid. But I think our attack should pose different problems. But we've just got to kind of get it working again. It's been, these last couple of away games have been a little bit frustrating. Huddersfield was mostly garbage. Let's be frank. It was stodgy. We didn't go anywhere, despite playing against one of the worst sides in the league. And yesterday was marginally better, but I think that was partially because Watford allowed us the space to do it, and yet we still not created enough. So for me, the big thing is get more chances, create more chances. We've got to be looking to be just a fraction more positive, I think.
Mark, how are they set up against Southampton? I mean, did you mention 4-3-3 earlier on? What sort of style would they hope to play? How are they going to try and get something out of the game?
I'd imagine it will be a sort of 4-3-3/4-5-1. It's kind of how we'll probably set up this game. I would think that's what we played in the last match against Birmingham. Sometimes he can spring a surprise or two, Robbins, and change change tactics, like he did at Ipswich, where he brought in Ayari, who is flattered to see a bit. We've got him on loan from Brighton, and whilst he looks a good technical player, I don't think he's, in my opinion, good enough to be in our first team. But that's what I'm hoping he'll go for this game. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get a score prediction from you as well, Mark. Before I let you go, I'm just going to go round the screen first. I think Ben got the one all right at the weekend, if my memory serves me correctly. The rest of us were miles off. Steve, for the Coventry game, I'll let you go first.
I think it's going to have to be another one of our 7 points from 9 weeks, isn't it? And having dropped the 2, this has got to be a win. So 1-0.
Okay, Glenn.
Having looked at Coventry's last few games and seen that they're pretty tight defensively, and knowing that Saints are going to put us all through the shredder again in exactly the same way, I'm going to go for exactly the same as Steve and go for a 1-0 win.
Are you going for the full house, Alfie? I mean, you must be looking forward to this trip on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it'd be a cold one, I think. But I'm going to go for 2-1 Saints, I think. Adam Armstrong with a couple of goals. He got 2 against them last time, I believe. So go for that.
Scoring against the old club. And Mark, score prediction from you, please.
Well, I can't exactly say I'll Southampton win. So I'm gonna sit on the fence and go for a 2-2 draw.
A 2-2 draw.
I think it'll be a tough game. I'd love to predict a Cov win, but Southampton, as you rightly said earlier, are much tougher opposition than Birmingham. So I know it's going to be a really difficult game, but I'll be delighted to get a point, and that takes us into Leeds away. So I'll go 2-2.
Yeah, well, we wish you luck against Leeds as well. Thanks for coming on, Mark. Thank you for the useful insight, and we'll catch up later in the season if that's okay.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks. Good to speak to you all.
Cheers, Mark.